Hi, and welcome to another Blender tutorial. This time we're dealing with UV setup. We're going to be texture painting, and so this quick video is all going to be about brush setup and some of the technical settings before we actually get to painting. So I've pressed tab and I've entered texture paint mode, and you can see all my 6 UV islands over here on the right. So the first thing we typically want to do is we want to set up our brushes. So right now if you click up here you'll see all of the brushes that are there. So we're going to make sure we're on text draw brush. That's just a good general brush. And you can see we've got the radius, which is the size, the strength, which determines the opacity. And we have a section down here, if you scroll down, that's called the curve. And the way this curve graph works is this left-hand side is the center of the brush, and going up and down determines the opacity. So in other words, right here it's most opaque, most solid here at the center of the brush, and then as we get to the right-hand edge of the brush, it starts to taper off, and so it becomes more and more transparent, and eventually down to 0, which means it's completely transparent, it's invisible. Okay, so we want to start by creating 2 new brushes. So I'm going to click on the little plus symbol here, and then I'm going to click up here on the name to rename it. And I'm going to call this one hard brush. And then press return. And so it's renamed, and I'll talk to you about why the number 1 is there. And then we're going to come down and we're going to go to the curve category here. And we're going to choose this last preset right here. And it's tough to see, but there are 2 little dots. That's because it's all the way up at the top. So what we want is we want to click right about here, and that creates a middle point. This middle point is curvy, so we're going to click on this little wrench icon and choose vector handle, and then that makes it a nice straight angular handle. And we're going to bring it all the way up. Then we're going to take the third and last one and we're going to bring it all the way down. And finally, to finish off, we'll bring this second middle one here over a little bit, something like that. So that's the profile of our brush. So it's really opaque, really solid, and then at the very edge of the brush stroke you'll get this nice little fall off. And so if I go ahead and demo that for you here, unfortunately I don't have my tablet set up, but we'll see how well this does. So there it is right there. So you can see you get a nice opaque brush stroke in the middle there, and you get a little soft softening on the edge there, but it's not pixelated and jagged. Okay, from there we're going to go ahead and we're going to add another new brush, and then we'll change the name, and this one's going to be number 2, and it's going to be our soft brush. Okay, and scroll down, and the soft brush, we're actually going to start off with this preset, and we're just going to take the first control point and drag it all the way down to somewhere around there. And that's pretty much it. That will give us this kind of a brush stroke. Really great for feathering, blending, shading, things like that. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now you'll see that we have a hard brush, a soft brush, and of course we have our fill. So I'm going to modify the fill brush, and I'm just going to choose it, and then I'm just going to change the name and put a 3 in front of it with a little space. And the reason for that is that now you'll see that Blender has reordered the brushes. So 1, 2, 3, and there we go. So now as I'm painting out here, I can press at the top of my keyboard, I can press 1 and work on the hard brush. I can press 2 and do the soft brush, and I can press 3 and I can go ahead and do a fill. Okay. Now the last thing I'll do before setup is considered done is you'll notice that as I change brushes, so watch this, my hard brush remembers that I used red, my soft brush is using green, and my fill brush is using this blue color. So each brush has its own memory of the color. That can become helpful, but it can also become incredibly irritating as you're trying to just flip between hard brushes and soft brushes, and your color changes, and then you have to try to sample the color, and it's really can be quite frustrating. So what I recommend doing is come down here at the bottom of the menu and click on the brush menu and enable unified color. Now that way if you brush, so for instance if I go ahead, I'm on my hard brush, and if I choose a red and I brush in red, and now I choose the soft brush, now I've got the exact same color, I'm good to go, and that's it. Okay, so that's going to be it for this tutorial. That is simple brush setup. In the next tutorial, I'll show you a couple other little tech setup things, and then we'll get to painting. Thank you.